Now, alright, welcome back. This is Hexagram 32 again. Not sure what happened to the last one, but here we are. And like an old mentor of mine used to say to me, and it's a common NLP thing, is everything's a resource. You just use it. Just use it. And beating yourself up is just more blame and cosmic guilt. So you just do the thing again. Here we go. Do the thing again if it's correct for you. 32 duration. The judgment. Success, no blame. Perseverance furthers. It furthers one to have somewhere to go. In this hexagram, the sage describes the way the cosmos achieves the constant evolution of its consciousness and creates enduring conditions through transformation. Duration also characterizes the cosmic principles underlying immutable laws that govern the movement of all things within cosmic reality. These are the preeminent laws that supersede all human-made laws. The cosmic principles are to the sphere of cosmic consciousness what the law of physics are to the world of form. Together, they ensure the duration of the cosmic whole. The cosmic principles and the laws of physics are held together through the principle of attraction. They are like the two axles of a big cart, the cart being a metaphor for the cosmic reality that endures as it moves through time and space. The energy that makes it move is created by the attraction between the cosmic consciousness and the world of form, nature, as the two complementary sides of the cosmic whole. This principle is duplicated in the relationship between the psyche and the body. The wholeness of the personality is ensured by the natural attraction between them. I'm going to say that again. The principle is duplicated in the relationship between the psyche and the body. The wholeness of the personality is ensured by the natural attraction between them. This natural attraction becomes disturbed when the personality is mentally divided into parts, with one part being elevated over the other. I'm going to highlight that and come back to it. Since duration is a characteristic of the nature of the cosmos, every aspect that is in harmony with it participates in its duration. This is why returning to one's true nature, which is synonymous with returning to unity with the cosmos, is the overall theme of the I Ching. This return is achieved through a step-by-step process in which the individual rids himself of all mistaken ideas and beliefs that keep him in the parallel reality created by the collective ego. The individual attains duration not through an effort to cultivate virtues and become anything, but through freeing his true and original nature from the inner prison of his mistaken ideas and beliefs. Unlike the cosmic reality, the parallel reality created by the collective ego does not endure because it is based on mistaken ideas and beliefs about the cosmic way. When a person, through holding to such mistaken ideas and beliefs, violates the cosmic harmony, the cosmos responds with a fate. Fate is part of the laws of physics and has the purpose of restoring the cosmic harmony and of helping a person return to unity with the cosmos. It does so by decreasing the ego in him, thus bringing him back to humility. Just making a note here. Okay. Something just popped in for me. The parallel reality is characterized by changes. These changes are brought about by the use of power on the part of humans and the cosmic response to it in the form of fate. Among the mistaken ideas and beliefs that create the parallel reality are the presumptions that 1. Humans are at the center of the universe. 2. Changes are the rule of life. 3. Nature operates through opposite forces to propel changes. 4. Time is linear, having a beginning and an end. 5. The universe works on mechanical principles. 6. The cosmos has a hierarchical order. All of these ideas create discordant fields of consciousness which compete with the cosmic order and its principles of harmony. They separate humans from the cosmic unity. When fate is not recognized as help from the cosmos to make a person aware of his mistaken ideas and beliefs, but it is taken as cosmic punishment, the blame he puts on the cosmos creates a new fate, thus perpetuating his misfortune. The human longing for duration comes from a feeling memory imprinted within each individual, reminding him of his original unity with the cosmos, which has been lost. This memory resides in every body cell and is what the I Ching calls a person's inner truth. The judgment it furthers one to have somewhere to go is to make him aware that the possibility of restoring that unity is always present. The collective ego's answer to this longing for duration is its emphasis on mania for attaining bodily longevity and immortality through leaving behind works that bears one's name or through acquiring fame. The pursuit of physical longevity as leading to immortality has persisted from the time of religious Taoism and various ancient practices such as specific kinds of yoga all the way to our time. Today's medicine and health fads, while not concerned with immortality, are similarly preoccupied with maintaining the body to great old age at all costs. A person often receives this hexagram when his situation lacks duration. This is because he holds the human-centered view of the universe and any of the mistaken ideas or beliefs mentioned above. He also may not recognize that all good things that come to him are gifts from the cosmos through its helpers. His lack of duration is reflected in his attachment to and identification with all the things he possesses. Such a person can be heard to say, "I made that money, invention, achievement, etc. myself." Disregarding the true source of his gifts creates a fate that subsequently robs him of them. Say that again. Disregarding the true source of his gifts creates a fate that subsequently robs him of them. One type of spell connected with this hexagram has to do with issues of time. Phrases that imply always or never in regard to how long something takes create these spells. Examples are, "This is going to take forever," and "I will never get there." Another type of spell is created by generalizations such as, "The whole world is against me. Changes are the rule of life." The lines. Why don't you go on smaller? Well, you can go bigger. Line 1. Seeking duration too hastily brings misfortune persistently. Nothing that would further. Line 1. This line can point to a misuse of the I Ching as a book of divination to foretell the future. Divination assumes that good fortune and misfortune come from without and are pre-written, as if in a cosmic book. The future, however, is not pre-written, but is shaped by every thought and attitude, and can be reshaped by correcting our thoughts and attitudes. The purpose of the I Ching is to show a person whether his thoughts, attitudes, and actions are in harmony with the cosmic way, and thus lead to success and good fortune, or whether they are not, creating misfortune for him. If the latter is the case, the hexagrams and lines show him the nature of his mistaken idea or belief, so that he can rid himself of them. Another mistaken idea addressed by this line is that humans have rights to possess things, independently of their attitude toward their possessions. From the cosmic standpoint, no such rights exist. When we are in harmony with the cosmos, everything we need comes as a free gift. Obtaining what the ego desires by force or contrivance of any sort is to possess something unlawfully from the cosmic standpoint. Such possession, be it of a material or immaterial nature, is invariably accompanied by a fate that prevents its duration. A person may also receive this line when he seeks to make something endure through outer means or through attraction between two egos. An example is a marriage based on deals that have been made in lieu of a true inner connection between the partners. This line may also be received by a person who has developed an ego attachment to gifts he has received from the cosmos, and therefore is faced with the threat of losing them. It is the law of fate that a person will lose what the ego is attached to having. This line may be counseling him to review his attitude toward what he possesses. The ego's view of possessions, that we are entitled or deserve to have them, or have the right to do anything we want with them, or to use them in a boastful way to put ourselves up above others, is the root cause of losing what we possess. Other attitudes, such as a suspicion that the cosmos might arbitrarily take our possessions away from us, likewise can create fate that brings about their loss. To have a correct attitude means ridding oneself of all such pretensions and distrust. Line 2. Remorse disappears. Receiving this line calls a person to address an ego element in himself, that falsely compares his inner effort to free his true self with work, along with all its negative connotations, in order to discourage him from even starting. It uses phrases that describe this effort either as too easy and therefore ineffective, or too difficult, or impossible, or dangerous. Such phrases obscure the help that is attained from the sage and the helpers simply by asking for it. Remorse refers to the obstructed feelings he has Remorse refers to the obstructed feelings he has from not having begun the maturation of his true self that would bring about duration. This remorse disappears when he rids himself of the false phrases in his program. Examples of such phrases are, "This is an impossible task. It's too hard. One needs the strength of a saint. It is not meant to be. No human could do this. I cannot do inner work. What if it doesn't work for me? It can't be that easy, because everything worthwhile is hard. How can it last? The helpers would never bother with me. What right do I have to bother them? My small affairs are of no concern to the cosmos. This is stupid. How can such things work, implying everything is merely random chance? There must be a hook attached. This is devil's work, implying it is supernatural. This will keep you from doing the real work. What will people think or say? "This will drive you crazy," "I'm too old," or "I'm too set in my ways." This line also concerns the feeling of helplessness that a person can have about identifying root phrases hidden in his subconscious. He does not realize that the phrase, "the task is impossible," is blocking the sage from helping him. If he says the inner no to the phrase, the sage will be freed to come to his aid. All of the above phrases are keys to spells that lock a person in the pattern of changes discussed in the main text of this hexagram. I'm going to highlight that. They are like guardians of the realm of changes, assigned by the ego to keep its false program installed in his psyche and to prevent him from freeing his true self. Remorse disappears refers to a person's making a firm inner decision to follow the way of the sage and to begin the effort to free his true self. Until that decision has been made, he is afflicted again and again with remorse that comes from his true self crying out to be liberated. See line 6 of hexagram 27, nourishment. Line 3. He who does not give duration to his character meets with disgrace, persistent humiliation. A person receives this line when, in his search to bring his life into harmony, duration, he has followed solutions that have led him astray. He has either followed solutions proposed by others, conventional beliefs, etc., or listened to his rational mind rather than to his inner truth. Such solutions range from trying to achieve things by external force to following spiritual beliefs that promise duration. He may, for example, be relying on keeping up his hopes or trying hard to have faith. However, because faith and hope do not resolve in an enduring way, underlying doubts and fears, he is only kept in a vicious cycle that runs from hope to fear and doubt and back to hope, thus creating persistent humiliation in the form of frustration. Once caught in this cycle, he needs to recognize that the duration he seeks will begin when he stops looking for solutions from external sources. He then needs to ask the sage to help free him from his inner fears and doubts. What remains will be his inner truth that has duration. No addition or artificial alteration is necessary. The problem with faith is that it is based on the hope that something might be true. The person hopes that if his conviction is strong enough, the thing hoped for will happen. Highlight that. The entire process is mental and not comparable to the trust a person develops from having experienced the verification of his inner truth. Because faith is a purely mental concept, it is inseparably bound to the very doubt and fear that the person hopes to conquer. The helper that is imprisoned by the spell created by reliance on faith is the helper that frees one from doubts and fears. It is a member of one's inner army. Inner army. It is a member of one's inner army. A person may also receive this line when he has made a decision and then has begun to doubt whether it was correct or whether it will cause future problems. His doubt becomes the hole through which harm, resistance, enters, because it is conveyed on the inner plane to others. This line counsels the person to ask the sage whether his decision was correct, and if so, he needs to remove the doubt through saying the inner no to it. For as long as the doubt is there, he will receive persistent and humiliating resistance. Line 4. No game in the field. In this no game in the field, in this line, is a metaphor for either an apparent or a real misfortune. It can refer to a person who sees misfortune where there is none. For example, he has lost his job and sees it as a misfortune, whereas the loss is really the end of a fate created by a false sense of loyalty which has held him in an unsuitable position. Or the job loss may have been necessary for him to connect with elements in himself, such as his inner truth, that have been left behind or buried by wrong ideas. The new situation gives him the opportunity to rid himself of the rigid ideas that have been preventing him from fulfilling his destiny. No game in the field can also refer to a person who, in seeking the cause of a real misfortune, is looking outside in the field rather than inside himself, where the true cause lies. Here, the game may be a projection, spell, or poison arrow that has been put on him, either by himself or another, or certain mistaken ideas he has adopted. He needs to identify them with the help of the sage and the RTCM and deprogram them. By looking outside himself for the cause of his misfortune, he has blocked the helper that ends fate. This line can also point to a particular spell that has created a fate misfortune. It is composed of 3 components: the phrase, "Man is man's worst enemy," the self-image of a hero who fights evil, and a third party which has been defined as an enemy or as evil. The person has been unsuccessful in trying to overcome his fate, misfortune, through fighting something or someone he assumes to be the cause of his misfortune. He needs to be aware that his fate can only be extinguished through his ridding himself of the spell that has caused it. See page 546. What are spells? Line 5. Giving duration to one's character through perseverance. This is good fortune for a woman, misfortune for a man. The traditional interpretation of this line spells out a woman's role in regard to her husband, which dictates that the woman ought to hold to tradition, that is, to her husband as a lifelong companion and to her place inside the house. The man, likewise, is ordered by this tradition to hold to what his duty requires of him at the moment, or to what is required of him by the outer world. While these ideas have no correspondence to cosmic truth, they help the person find the seed phrases in his inner program that have created a spell blocking certain helpers. This spell results from defining men and women as having different capabilities and responsibilities. From this superficial observation, it is deduced that their social roles are inherently different. Such fixing in roles prevents them from finding their uniqueness and fulfilling their destinies. A person may also receive this line when he feels guilty that he has not done enough to develop his higher nature. Giving duration to one's character through perseverance incorrectly suggests that through trying to become something, patient, loyal, or kind, we will develop our higher nature. The sage teaches that our true nature must not be divided into higher and lower parts, because it is complete and enduring in itself, even though suppressed. The perseverance that is truly needed is the resolve to free ourselves from the mistaken idea that human nature is divided, and in that and of ourselves we lack virtues such as loyalty, patience, and kindness. The collective ego would have us believe we lack them in order to dismiss our cosmic virtues, such as loyalty to our inner truth, and thereby bind them to its institutions and values. In addition to taking away these mistaken ideas, the person also needs to free himself of the idea of guilt. See page 39, Guilt, Blame and Shame, and page 551, Deprogramming Guilt. This line can also indicate that a person is blaming himself for having gone against his true nature. He believes that he has become guilty and does not know how to relate to it. Receiving this line wants to make him aware that guilt has no place in the cosmic reality, and that he needs to understand the true meaning of blame. Blame is a true feeling that comes from having gone against one's true nature, and has the function of making the person aware of this fact. When he acknowledges it as a true feeling, which is also a helper, this helper attracts the cosmic helper of reflection. Thus, he gets the help to reflect on the cause of his mistake and has the possibility to correct himself. This will free him from his feeling of blame. Do line 6 and then my contemplations. Line 6, restlessness as an enduring condition brings misfortune. Line 6, this line addresses the restlessness caused by a spell. Behind the spell that drives a person to impulsive actions is a hidden phrase that needs to be discovered and disposed of. An example is the phrase, "You must act, otherwise nothing will happen." This phrase is an imp that is blocking the person's access to his inner truth. Its deeper root is the mistaken idea that humans are at the center of the universe and therefore responsible for making everything work. Such a person is not conscious of the presence of the invisible world with its myriad helpers, therefore constantly creates fates. Several false attitudes caused by this mindset. Several false attitudes are caused by this mindset. One is that of the person who regards problems as matters of engineering, with the solution being to replace one component with another or re-engineer the way things interface. Another is of the person who attempts to overpower the problem by throwing money at it or withdrawing money from it, or through the use of leverage or power. Another attitude is that of the person who is willing to be the instrument of power and sacrifice his life if necessary to solve the problem. In view of the fact that the real problems in life have their roots in the psyche, as programs that are not in harmony with the cosmic way, the problems cannot be resolved by any such means. They can only be resolved by the individual's ridding himself of the idea that humans are at the center of the universe and that it is their job to do it all. When this idea is deprogrammed, the support for the imp of restlessness and its related imps is removed. The helper blocked by this idea is the helper of inner truth. And now my contemplations. So I got this bad boy on the 29th of April, and on the 7th of May today, I'm redoing it. For whatever reason, it didn't record. As I bumped the microphone with my water bottle. So, my notes here, and what I've got from just that, I'm glad that I'm reading this again and listening to this again, because this imp that appears, is driven by social media and a restlessness of being on the phone. What I found is that when I'm on my phone, that this imp appears, because when I see other people posting things or celebrating their wins or whatever it is, I'm like, oh, I've got to do the same thing too. I've got to post this. I've got to post the same thing. I've got to do something else. I've got to create a counter argument. I've got to do the opposite. I've got to create some buzz around whatever's going on right now. And this imp is hilarious to me because it's reoccurring. Even though I read this back on the 29th of April, it's almost more than just a little bit over a week later, and I can still feel myself doing this because I've forgotten to say the inner no to this thing, right? This beastly... Why aren't you moving? Get that over there. Get that sweet spot over there. There we go. Yeah, you must act. You must act, otherwise nothing will happen. All right? You must act, otherwise nothing will happen. If I don't put a post out, no one's going to come to my business. If I don't reach out to someone, then nobody knows that I exist. If I don't do something, who will know that I'm here? How do you know what my offerings are? All right? And this kind of feeds a paranoia and insecurity and inadequacy that just pushes me on social media to make stuff, right? And now with artificial AI, it's so easy to make stuff. So easy. Right? So easy. I can make content for days, but it's not really me. Right? It is and it isn't me. The signal's not the same. The signal's coming from this place of you must act, otherwise nothing will happen. Instead of just being fully resourced. Right? My ego gets in the way. I want to be something else than what I currently am. Right? And that inner truth piece is so important. So I got line 3 and 6 when I cast this hexagram. So line 6 is that. What other notes do I have here? Sage, help free me from my inner fears and doubts. Helper that frees me from doubts and fears. So that deeper root here, the mistaken idea that humans are at the center of the universe and making everything work. Yeah, it's one worth unstitching. Yeah. Helper of reflection, right? Another one to set free and allow yourself to feel blame, because what can show up when you ignore your feelings, like if you're someone from the 5 personality pattern who ignores their feelings, and all of them can do that, and some of them can get obsessed by them. But if you don't know what the sensation of blame feels like in your body, or it activates some kind of habit of running away or beating yourself up over it, then it's a survival pattern. When you learn how to tease apart and get some space around the overwhelm that blame can insert into your body and your psyche, you move through it really quickly and you detect it really quickly. It's like, oh yeah, that's blame. Feel it. And then come back to neutral, and that's it. And if it tries to resurrect some guilt, say no to it. Right? This is the gym. This is the inner work gym. Yeah? Okay. The sage teaches us that our true nature must not be divided into higher and lower parts, because it is complete and enduring in itself, even though suppressed. Cool. So in my work, there is a higher and lower self, but they're not one's better than the other. It's a terminology used where they sit in the body, where the higher is more upward displaced and the lower is like more towards the pelvis. But it's not inherently, it's gravity. It's purely based on how we walk. And so in that, the lower self is just as beautiful as the higher self, and just being able to own it. Because there's a lot of creativity that's in the lower self. Like it's all the sexual energy, the part of you that wants to be devoured or devour, right? So if you ignore that, then it just comes out in some other way. Yeah? What else have we got here? Cool. He has either followed solutions proposed by others, conventional beliefs, etc., or listened to his rational mind rather than to his inner truth. And if you run your own business in particular, this can be an interesting one to have a look at, because you'll want to listen to what everybody else is doing, okay? And what really helped me was have someone ask me the questions that my inner truth could find. Because your inner truth answers usually really quickly. It comes in the mind flashes. It's before the mind gets involved, right? It's the feeling, the initial feeling that comes up first that's worthwhile to follow. So inheriting other people's business plans and structures and how to do things, like the secrets of how to create 7-8-figure business, all that kind of stuff, you miss out on what you and your unique frequency is, right? So the external force, like keeping up my hopes, yeah, your business is going to work, the clients are going to come, we're trying hard to have faith, just stick in there, just keep it going. When ultimately what might be required is to feel the feelings that it's not working, and faith is not working, because you are out of alignment at a much deeper level. However, because faith and hope do not resolve in an enduring way, underlying doubts and fears, he is kept in a vicious cycle that runs from hope to fear and doubt and back to hope, and thus creating persistent humiliation in the form of frustration. So that's the thing, is that the hope and faith piece are denying the feeling denying the feeling of what's underneath it all, right? So if you don't feel the feeling of what's underneath that, which is usually despair, right? Despair is usually underneath all that. Feel that feeling, like, yeah, cool, or the collapse. Then when you feel that and know that that despair is safe, like it's just part of the feeling body, it's part of common sense, right? Which also allows you to feel the higher highs when you actually hit the goal of whatever it is that you do, and it gives you the momentum and attitude to thank the helpers. It all evens out. The person hopes that if his conviction is strong enough, the thing hoped for will happen. All right, we see this in the online space, especially in coaching or miracles online. People wanting to stop wars or whatever. It's like, oh, just believe in it. Just believe. Believe. He's beginning to believe. It's like, no, it actually requires action. Okay, it requires you to be with the no. But what's not part of me? What's been projected upon me, right? Even in the Matrix, where Morpheus is projecting all over Neo. Right? All over Neo. Nothing kinky there at all. Morpheus is projecting all over Neo, and then that seed within Neo grows, right? And then he becomes himself, whatever that is. And he believes he's not the one, but he's just someone that's in the mix, right? Because faith is purely a mental concept, it is inseparably bound to the very doubt and fear that the person hopes to conquer, right? And you can argue with me with this. But faith is not a feeling. It's not. It doesn't feel like a feeling to me. It might be for you, but I tell you what, I can't feel faith in my body. It's not a thing. All of the above phrases, my ear ringing, all of the above phrases are keys to spells that lock a person in the pattern of changes discussed in the main text of this hexagram, right? Changes is not transformation. Changes keeps you looping in the change. It's like one change, next change, right? So to change from like one state to the other, and then from that state again into another state, you know, it's like, oh, cool, now changed again to another state. Yeah, cool, might be slightly different, right? And then another change, right? Just keep on looping in these changes, right? It's not really transformation, right? Transformation is one way, and you don't go back. Can't come back. What else is here? One type of spell connected with this hexagram has to do with the issues of time. This is really important, okay? Always or never. And when you might be arguing with someone that you love, you might find yourself saying always and never. Oh, you always do this. He's always like this. Oh, he never shows up like this, right? So what happens in those two things is that you keep on projecting seeds and spells and images and all the things on whoever you're saying always or never to. Like you never take out the trash, right? I'm always with the kids. You're always on your phone, right? You're never present, right? You never do that, right? So this is going to take forever, right? The whole world is against me, right? All these generalizations in these hyperbolic statements or verbs, adverbs, spell. So having the awareness around it's really important to begin with, and you start to deprogram your language. You might already be someone who's aware of language, but then misses out on some of these finer things. And that's okay. That's what you're here for. The collective ego's answer to this longing for duration is its emphasis on and mania for attaining bodily longevity and immortality through leaving behind works that bears one's name or through acquiring fame. Been here. Okay. Right. The legacy movement is huge, particularly in men's work. Okay. Leave a legacy. Leave a legacy. Leave a legacy. You know, get your PhD, write a book that lasts the ages, you know, be the next Carl Jung, you know, the next Nietzsche, you know, the next Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate or whoever your favorite historian or social media influencer is, you know. Be the next Bonnie Blue. So in that, what shows up here is it's just the ego. So the ego drives you to go against yourself to become something that's only relevant to the ego, but you lose yourself in the process. You lose yourself. You incur the fate, right? And then I mean, people come to me in the collapse after doing all these things. So, right, oh, I've been trying to do all this stuff. I've been trying to live my life. I've been trying to get famous, wealthy, popularity. I've collapsed, John. I can't do this anymore. My relationships don't work. Like I bought a new car for this girl, and our relationship ended. I ignored all the red flags. I'm stuck in this swamp of self-abandonment. I'm stuck in this maze of performative perfection where I just don't know how to get out of it. I'm stuck here. And I'm on the lookout for betrayal all the time, right? I'm just this giant wall. I don't let any of my feelings past. I'm just this wall. So the next piece here, today's medicine and health fads, while not concerned with immortality, are simply preoccupied with maintaining the body to great old age at all costs. Death is beautiful. Life is a gift. Death is a gift. In that, and tying this back to the transhumanist movement, which I've might have mentioned to you before, is that death is the enemy, and life is oppositional to death, right? So in that, there's all these longevity movements out there, and then like Alzheimer's, they want to try and fight Alzheimer's and dementia, and Alzheimer's is a build-up of dead cells in the body that hasn't been cleared, and all these longevity treatments, trying to extend telomerase, the DNA things. Words escape me. And trying to purify the blood. I mean, there was a guy that's on Netflix. I don't know if you've seen the show. It's all about longevity treatments, Hyperbaric chambers, excuse me. All kinds of supplements. And it's the fear of death. And a lot of transhumanists are afraid of death. And a lot of these health fads are about wanting to maintain the body. Right? The next study, the next thing. Blue blocking glasses, blue methylum, whatever it is. Whatever the next fad is. Yeah. We've made this new discovery. Here's the next superfood. It's antioxidant and reverses aging. Okay, cool. So in this, and yes, my cynicism is there because that's what I see it as. And I've been to that transhumanist movement, and it dehumanizes nature. It basically dehumanizes nature, dehumanizes the human body, and the people in there really struggle with feeling. And the leaving pattern from the 5 personality patterns is the most likely to be brought into that movement. Now, I know Elon Musk is in there too. He's shifted a bit though, so who knows what's coming next. Yeah, great. Next one here is the punishment. So the highlight, what did I put here? Laws of physics. That's right. Okay. So I put a note in here about laws of physics and gravity, and I wanted to relate it back to fate. Where fate is not a punishment, in so much as gravity is not a punishment. Okay. Where you do something and it's outside of cosmic harmony, you're not listening to your inner truth. You are trying to push through the ego. You're trying to force things. You're thinking that humans are the center of the universe. And then you create a fate, and then the fate comes around, and the fate is horrible. It hurts. If you have a lot of feelings, it's negative, for lack of a better word. And it's the same thing with gravity. Like you run and you trip and you fall. It's gravity. You run on a slippery surface, knowing you don't have traction on your feet. You slip. You hurt yourself. You jump up. You jump out of a building. You jump off something very high. Gravity will ground you, right? So in that, fate is part of cosmic harmony. It's part of the laws of physics, where if you're operating outside of the cosmic harmony, you just naturally incur a fate. And it's okay. Just like gravity is okay. Okay? So in that, if you've been raised in an environment and conditioned from an Abrahamic religion in particular, or karmic religion, then you will see that fate is a punishment. And it will feel like a punishment when something happens. Oh, I'm being punished. What did I do wrong? I dropped this thing. Clients aren't coming. Money's not coming. I've hurt myself. Got this illness. Being punished for something. What did I do wrong? You start saying the inner no to that. Okay, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. And again, it's the human-centered view of the universe, where you do symptom management instead of looking what's at the root. And all of the work that I love to do, and including this in this I Ching, is all about getting to the root. Getting to the root. The principle is duplicated in the relationship between the psyche and the body. The wholeness of the personality is ensured by the natural attraction between them. This natural attraction becomes disturbed when the personality is mentally divided into parts, with one part being elevated over the other. So, what I see in most mainstream therapy is the brain is elevated over the body. Emotional regulation, just emotionally regulate your way through it all. Oh, you feel anxious? Just emotionally regulate it, you know? Emotionally regulate. Don't listen to what it's actually trying to tell you. Just regulate it away. This is the insanity, where your body is trying to tell you something and you ignore it because you feel unsafe, because you've been dehumanizing nature, dehumanizing people, and then you do a technique that bypasses the entire feeling that's actually carrying the wisdom that you need to hear and feel. And then this principle duplicated in the relationship between the psyche and the body shows up in your relationships, where if there's fragmentation between these parts, it just naturally shows up in your relationships, which is okay. You just learn it. So relationships, I feel, are a crucible for getting the feedback for fate. It's a fate feedback loop. Instantly. Something happens, oh, it's fate. Projecting onto your partner, oh, if he just did the inner work, you know, oh, if he could just love me for who I am, right? Do you love you for who you are? Right? Are you doing the work? Or have you just got to a point and then stopped? Right? You think you've made it. I've done enough. I've been doing it for years. It doesn't stop. It just evolves. And that's okay. Because those that are here to do it will do it. And those that don't, well, they don't. That's 32. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.